What's up, nerds? Welcome back. If you watched my first video, you know I'm currently looking at a few examples of the worst Rob Liefeld art, and since I had so much fun making the first part, I had to just cut all of this up into 4 parts. So let's continue with part 2 of the 40 worst Rob Liefeld drawings. Alright, and now we're picking up part 2 of the 40 worst Rob Liefeld drawings with number 30. And so we have here we have here all of this just sexy goodness, as you can see. It says, imagine me at age 12 getting to read a comic about how the big black naked bodybuilder uses the girls he dates. Now imagine me at 27 going over it again, laughing at how skeevy it is, and then noticing an absolute cavalcade of illogical nonsense horseshit about it. Nothing in these panels makes sense. I get what he's going for. He sits down at his drawing desk with his button-fly jeans and his backwards baseball cap, rubbing his chin and pondering what the new hip comic book collector would like to read. So he spends at least a minute and a half drawing these pictures about a tough guy who wakes up, gets called into work, and tells the woman he's had to have sex with that he's like dust in the wind. Liefeld smiles, pats himself on the back for a job well done, and slams a do. Now, what is wrong with this, you may ask? Well, it's 1:11 p.m. That's the early afternoon. Chappell congratulates himself for another night, another love. He uses the colloquial phrase "my man" to show that sex with broads is no big D. So even though it's just past noon and he's above ground, he's saying it's nighttime and his room is completely dark with a bunch of nighttime shadows on the wall. The Youngblood communicator thing goes eat beat, a sound no one has heard or capitalized in that fashion anywhere ever, and he tells her to wake up at 1:11 p.m., again above ground where the sun should be. She asks him for 5 more minutes of sleep and he responds with, "No promises. You know the way out." If she had said, "Oh, baby, I'll be here when you get back," or "When can I see you again?" it would have set her up as in awe of Chappell's manhood, which is what Rob's going for, I think. And the response would have shown Chappell as a hard womanizer who values his life as a soldier more than any woman he might take to bed. But she asks him for 5 minutes of sleep. So when he responds like that, it makes him deaf or some weird taskmaster of the alarm clock. I don't think he's sleeping though, because he's got his arms behind his head like he just finished up or is in a hammock. And depending on how long they've been there, she's been sleeping with her face in his giant hairless armpit. To recap, it's daytime, but everybody acts like it's night. Chappell quips about without being set up for it, and even though Chappell sleeps on a mattress on the floor, his bedspread still gets a full hang. And in the second panel, Chappell is coated in a fine mist. 29. We have this cover of X-Force Shatterstar, the first issue in a 4-part miniseries. Just look at it again. See if you can spot what will be talked about in just a second. Just look at this. So it says, you know what? I'm not drawing that other hand. Too tricky. What are you talking about? No one's going to notice. And yeah, there's one hand in here, and that's it. So where the other one is, it's anybody's guess. But I guess at least he drew feet this time. There's that. So 28, we have this we have this panel here, and it says, "Look out, bitch fight in front of the furnace. Prophet, a time displaced hero who needs an asshole of adamantium to carry that many pouches around his thigh, drops a big leg on combat, an alien with powers that include making me too apathetic to even finish this sentence with a joke." Well, Bill Handstock thought he was dropping a big leg on combat. In my humble opinion, Prophet is going for a Bronco Buster and Combat is countering with the foot to the dick. Whatever is happening, it shouldn't be happening long enough for Combat to get out 2 whole sentences, have Prophet respond, and then go oof, as though the action has been completed. Yep, that's how comic books work. Maybe he's saying oof because he's got his wingtips stuck in the furnace. 27 in this cover I have seen so many times, and it is just, this is a smorgasbord of everything potentially wrong with like Rob Liefeld's art. It says all grimacing all the time. To be fair, you would grimace too if your neck was doing that. I honestly had no fucking goddamn idea why that face and hand are there. How do you get perfectly symmetrical tears on your pants like that? Haha, ruined t shirt, shredded Dockers jeans, perfect tiny little dress shoes. The shield is all fucked up, and Liefeld never learned to draw anything other than early 90s feathered, blow dried hair that doesn't touch the ears. I think the only sideburns he's ever drawn were on women. I think he just draws the face and then draws a big floppy squiggle on top with an arrow pointing to it that says hair. And then the inker sighs and takes a pull of southern comfort and does his job as best he can. I've seen this picture too, and goddamn, poor Invisible Woman. Says, I thought I would be above making a comment about how it looks like the Invisible Woman is taking a shit, but there it is. I'm pretty terrified by this drawing, honestly. This looks like it should be in an issue of Heavy Metal with very different things happening to cause that expression. Liefeld's approach to drawing women? Fat lips and plenty of eyeliner. Look at where her upper arm is going off panel and where her fist re-enters the frame. Also, anytime he draws anyone running anywhere, they always have their arms held straight out to their sides. Like, I understand that you have to create the illusion of movement, but I think what is more important is the illusion of me not hating you. So we go on to 25, another drawing of Cable here. A lot of his drawings of Cable are just gold. So it says, oh, those pesky feet. Those pesky tiny feet. First of all, Cable's hips and thighs are comically wider than his upper body. Secondly, he obviously drew that gun in after he drew the whole rest of Cable. Cable's fist is sort of nebulously hovering outside of the area where I guess the hand would go if that were an actual gun. But he isn't actually holding it. It's just kind of tucked under his arm as though he were taking a gigantic newspaper to John. And where's his other hand, for Christ's sake? I think everyone needs to realize that Rob Liefeld was the most popular comic book artist in the world at the time. His comics sold millions of copies. He starred in a Levi's commercial that was about him. And this is what his art looked like. He made millions and millions of dollars from this, you guys. Good point. Very good point. He made millions of dollars selling shit like this because apparently somebody didn't want to tell him no. So now we have 24 with whatever this is supposed to be. Says, well, at least he traced out exactly where the borders of her vagina are, in case anyone was wondering. Wait, someone put one of her legs on sideways. Oh well, I'd hit it. And okay, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, we have here the cover of what X-Force, what is that, 9? I think Cable should be holding a big gun on this cover. Well, yeah, he usually is. Pfft, no, I mean a really big gun. Wait, how big? Well, something like this draws an artistic representation of excess. Liefeld, you genius. You've done it again. Check out the size of Cable's trigger hand on that gun. Now look at the size of Cable's thigh. This is not normal. I also like Shatterstar making a fist and Liefeld just sort of tossing a gun on there. Whoop! Not enough on the cover involves guns yet. 22, we... Oh, God. I've never seen a drawing of lips that makes me feel as creepy as looking at this does. BRB, gotta vomit. We got 21. Shatterstar yet again. God, just look at it. Just look at it and understand that there was a time when everyone was like, yeah, this is badass. Welcome to the 90s. Guns, swords, and long hair. Is it any wonder that it took so long for comic books to be a socially acceptable artistic medium? If Jack Kirby is the Thomas Edison of comics, which I'm going to amend that and say Nikola Tesla, Rob Liefeld is the Al Jolson. Except I think Al Jolson could draw pretty well. I really cannot get over how enormous Rob tends to draw his male characters. Really, they're so over-muscled and a stereotype of a stereotype that they just end up looking like weird, wrinkly fat asses. All the pouches and half shirts ain't helping either. If I had a nickel for every time Liefeld had his character standing behind something so he didn't have to draw their feet, I would still not have nearly as much money as Rob Liefeld. And that's going to do it for right now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, feel free to like the video, make sure you're subscribed and you got the notification bell on and all that. If you'd like to share the video, I would appreciate that, probably more than Rob would appreciate us doing this. But feel free to go ahead and share the video if you feel so inclined. But if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, well then I'll see you on my next video.